Friendly greetings, it's me, Torley, and I'm here today to answer some viewer mail, as they call it, I might call it something differently, and to share some insights about what's going on with me. So, from last time, the first time I posted that video, that interview, the 22 questions answered, I'm looking at a web page right now. Amphitheater Andalso asked, "Oh, what was my childhood like?" My childhood was fine, thank you very much. Seriously, it was. I was never in daycare because my parents were home almost all the time. My father, he had recently retired. He's dead now, but he retired from his job running a restaurant to be home, and he would often try to take me fishing. I wasn't too fond of it. I liked eating rainbow trout, especially the eyeballs. I like eating fish eyes. And my mom, she would read a lot of books to me, and she would, until at such time I could read for myself, right? And I had a childhood filled with imagination. There was a lot of creativity. I had a lot of art supplies. My first computer was a Commodore 64, as you may recall me saying earlier. And that was a new fertile ground of imagination for me to tap into. I was able to roam on the lawn. I had a nice lawn in the backyard. One time I put a frog in it, in a pond, but it hopped away. I caught it during a fishing trip, incidentally. All these bits and memories, they come to mind. So overall, my younger brother, he's about 2 years younger, and we had a lot of fun times inventing games, inventing terminology, and I think this is something common with a lot of sibling relationships, the sort of fraternal bonding you guys get, and you come up with your own RPG campaigns. I played Dungeons & Dragons as a kid. I read the Spelljammer books. I didn't play those campaigns. I enjoyed rolling the dice. What can I say? So there's so much to it. Well, I guess the worst part of my childhood was probably that, let's see, it would probably have to do with, well, I think it was because I was picked on, right? I was picked on because being eccentric and all that, and it was very difficult. I didn't have a lot of common interests. Like, not a lot of other kids played piano with the intensity that I did. So it's one of those things where I grew through it, and you always hear the proverbial tales of dealing with adversity and dealing with challenges, dealing with bullies. And it's funny because later on, some of these bullies, in high school and later years, they came to ask me for my help, because I had kind of turned around from being a very uncool geek to a very cool geek. And it's funny what kind of differentiation there even is. But it sucked to have to play piano so much at times. I think I did too much of that. I would have liked to start synthesizer earlier. I felt that piano was limiting me by having only one tone, 88 keys and one basic kind of sound. The synthesizers really turned me on to a lot of sonic aural creation possibilities, which I really, really severely enjoy. I can't enjoy so much nowadays because of my hyperacusis, but it's always going to be a part of me. So yeah. And now the next question. Oh, if I made a movie, no budget limits, total creative control, what would it be? Now, that's a very difficult question for me because I like to impose constraints. I really do like to say, okay, here's the budget, here's the resources. Because with unlimited resources, things get squandered. It's like if you have no deadline, or it's like that saying that if you don't set if you set your deadline further off, like a month, then 2 weeks, then you're going to scramble. No matter how far or how near the deadline is going to be, most of the work is going to be done irrespective of that time limit near the deadline. So that's very fascinating. I would have to constrain myself. I would like to have total creative control. I like to work very agile. I have admiration for M. Strange, who made the film We Are the Strange. I've seen 1/3 of it. I was watching it with my wife. We're enjoying it so far. Doesn't have much in the way of a plot, but in terms of artistic direction, I think it calls it straight anime because it's a compilation, it's a collection, a mashup, a juxtaposition, if you will, of like strangeness of anime and 8-bit graphics. I really like that. But to be brief, I would like to do a selection of short stories, perhaps something with the Twilight Zone or Outer Limits, we are controlling the horizontal and the vertical kind of twists. I like those twists very, very much. I like some of the big budget action movies. I would like to combine some of those theatrical dynamics with the characteristics that are so imbued in really heartfelt, smaller independent pictures. As you know, I really like putting, again, the word juxtaposition, combining those two sorts of odds and ends together, but coming up with something cohesive that might have a lot of technology, but to quip on Brian Transeau, BT, the great DJ, he says he's not a DJ, but a great producer, electronic music producer, he says that, well, he wants to, emotional technology is where it's at. So you have your gadgets, but you also have a lot of heart, good character development about the human condition, as they say. So yeah, And oh, what's next for Torley? Well, there's certainly a lot going on with me. I like to do these rants, Torrants. Even though I'm rather happy, it's a rather happy rant, perhaps the happiest you've ever seen. I enjoy doing them because they're a good way to relax on the weekends, because otherwise I have so much going on. I hardly have any free time at all, and the free time that I do have, I usually use it to create art and learn things. Next, career-wise, I'm going to make more video tutorials. I'm going to be very receptive and listen to what the people want, what the residents of Second Life, what our community, which I love so much, wants. I'm going to do more of those, definitely. And all sorts of topics, both the tip of the week and the quick tips, and series on features. Definitely. I almost did a middle finger there. That's not good. Hands down. But I'm also going to look out for what other things. I've been helping marketing with doing snapshots for our stock photography, you know, when they have a news story and they need some legally licensed photography to draw from. And I'm inspired by that because I really like Art Beats and other agencies that provide that sort of thing. So for me, it's a real lineage concept. And my personal life, I like to keep learning. I want to learn motion graphics more. I have a love for that DVNO, 4 capital letters, video by Justice. That's an excellent video. I recommend searching that. Search Google for DVNO if you haven't seen that. And yeah, so it's a lot of things, a lot of creation going on. And I take things day by day to see what comes up. I've got a lot of books to read. I'm going to read Carl Sagan's Cosmos in the book form. I'm going to read a collection of science fiction short stories. I just finished the Making of Second Life book by, I call him Jamlet, but James Wagner Owl. I'm going to have a review of that on my blog soon. So yeah, just a lot of input and an output. And, oh yeah, thanks, Amphitheater. I noticed you say you want a photo book of super wicked, awesome, high-quality snapshots in real life. Every Torley snapshot in Second Life ever. Hey, you know what? What would be freaking awesome is if I could make a mosaic of every single one. I tried to download all my stuff from Flickr, but the backup program is only doing sets, and it's not doing the stuff that's not in the set. So it's paining me, but I would definitely like to have that very crisp and articulate, have a wall-sized poster. I saw something recently with Star Wars where that was done. Every frame of the movie turned into this amazing mosaic, and there's a lot of free programs out there that can do it and paid ones. Andrea Mosaic is free, I think, and there's the Big Huge Labs people. I think that's the name. They do a bunch of Flickr tools. They have one that's sort of more limited, but I'd like to take something at least 5,000. I'm going to have over 10,000 of Flickr. So size and quantity, that should not be a problem. Okay, and scrolling down, I replied to some stuff in text before. Susei, I think that's how it's pronounced. Is it Susei or Susai? Thanks. Let's see. When's my birthday? My birthday is the same as Paul McCartney, my favorite Beatle, so look that up. And what do I think of Super Smash Bros. Brawl? Well, I don't think a lot of it because I haven't played it yet. I don't have a Wii, which is a great product name. It's funny how people laughed at it before it came out, and now we're like, hoo-hoo. I'll just only check my timer on this thing, make sure I'm running it right. Okay, good. It's still running right. I hope it's not going to be too tricky. In the background, in the foreground. Okay. So, if it ends up jerky, we'll know why, because it was in the background. I was reading a web page. I think one of the greatest things about it, long story short, is Hideo Kojima getting Solid Snake into the game, because I like that dynamic. Just like it's kind of funny how we see Sonic and Sega characters like that on Nintendo now. I really like having crossovers like that, where there may have been a rivalry, friendly or not before, but now there's no such contrived animosity. There's a collaboration, a meeting of the minds, and they duke it out within the game. That's a lot of fun. So, and I haven't heard the theme song. I heard good things about it, but all in all, I really like that when they take all these great characters and put them in one game. I like crossovers. I like dream teams. And oh, could I do a quick impression of Walton Simons? One of my favorite villains. That's such a steely gaze. And sure, okay, so this is not a long impersonation, but this is one of my favorite lines of his. Okay, you ready? Damn you, Denton. Tom Hall has such a fantastic voice. I would like to meet him and talk to him without thinking so much about Walton Simons. But he's a great game designer too. I have so much admiration for the guy. Oh, and let's see here. And thanks, Androgyny. I think that's how you pronounce it. Androgyny. Let's see. Yeah, you're welcome. The leak video, that was a lot of fun to do. So, a few other things I'd like to comment. I recently watched Spirited Away, which was, of course, directed by the great Miyazaki. such a fantastic work. My wife and we saw My Neighbor Totoro, and that was wonderful. The Studio Ghibli, or the Ghibli, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that right. But one of the funniest things, of course, is No Face in the movie. he seems to sustain, and I read this, so my perception of him is colored by what I've read in internet reviews. But inherently, what I like is he's neither a totally good or a bad character. He's neither protagonist nor antagonist, to use those funny words. He is reflective and absorbent, quite literally, of the personalities in which he contacts. So, he comes in contact with, rather. So at the bathhouse, of course, when he swallows someone greedy, the gold, and I like how he speaks, like, and I want to get that Avatar Second Life. I know Esteval Cohen has made a great version of it, but it's not moddable, so I contacted her. Hopefully I can mod it and change the mask, make it watermelon face, melon face. So I like how he offers the gold. And that movie overall, I think it was for kids, but the interesting thing, there is blood. There is a fair amount of scares and shocks and thrills. It's a very fascinating sort of thing. And I also read recently PKD, that's Philip Kindred Dix. It sounds dirty, doesn't it? I read his book, Ubik, and it's like, ubiquity in the spray can, the immortality, rather. I thought that was a great book. I like how he mixes some of these concepts and makes it more plausible. I know there was not a fair amount, there was some amount of technobabble in which he describes the acting mechanism of how it works, how this Ubik keeps someone alive in their half-life state. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but overall I do recommend it. It's one of the seminal sci-fi greats. I've been wanting to read it for years. I didn't get around it until now, and I'm just so pleased with the book. And there's going to be other books I'm going to read about productivity. I read the 80-20 principle book. That's very good. It's about dealing with being efficient, making the most of limited like the least effort for the most gain, to summarize it. Yeah. And other sorts of things in my mind right now. I'm with the piano stuff, of course, I released Solo Piano 7. That's 176 solo piano pieces. That turned out wonderfully. I'm really happy with that. I'm using that with my video tutorials. And aside from that, I'm not going to do any piano stuff for a while. I think, if the mood strikes me, I will, of course. It's one of those moody things. But I'm going to continue exploring, put pictures up on Flickr. I'm having fun with this Flickr booth thing. I upgraded to Leopard on my Mac, and I'm going to take some more pictures of my crazy hair. I'm probably going to get this cut, so it's not going to be as long, and it's not even that long right now because I actually have pressed it down. It's funny how much volume there is if I push my fingers upwards. Anyway, end transmission. It's about nearing 13 minutes, and thank you for watching with me. Let me know what you would like to see in the next video. I can't guarantee I'll do it, but I will do a great deal. So that's how it flows, right? Follow up, follow up, follow up, and incidentally, follow up as a single word is one of my favorite words. Take care, be well, and a friendly goodbye for now.